Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an incredibly timely technical guide from April 2026, put together by Oracle Ace Pro Chanaka Yapa. Look, if you're in the data space, you already know AI tools are getting exponentially smarter. But, and it's a big but, having a brilliant AI isn't really enough if you can't securely connect it to your absolute most valuable asset, your own data. So that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're going to look at a really powerful solution for building secure, custom AI agents. The guide hits us right out of the gate with this. This is the time when data is worth more than gold. Now sure, it sounds a bit dramatic, right? But honestly, it's the absolute truth of our current tech landscape. Public models are great, but your real competitive edge, that doesn't come from the model itself. It comes from leveraging your specific, proprietary, business-sensitive data. Nailing that is what actually gives you a real edge over your competitors. But bringing that golden data to the AI, well, that presents a massive problem. Which brings us to the core question we have to tackle. How do we use business-sensitive data safely without exposing it to public models? Because exposing your organization's sensitive data to a public LLM, yeah, that has severe consequences. We've all heard the horror stories, right? Proprietary code or sensitive financial data leaking out into public training sets? No thank you. We absolutely need a secure alternative that lets us innovate without crossing that very dangerous line. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the AI security challenge. Introduce Oracle Private Agent Factory. Look at the core agent workflow blocks. Dive into the intelligence layer. Check out some real-world data insights, and finish up with the future of custom AI. Section 1. The AI Security Challenge. The risks of public LLMs. So we all know tools like ChatGPT and Claude are incredibly powerful, but feeding them sensitive enterprise data? That has serious consequences. There is a shockingly high risk of data leakage on public models. Naturally, organizations are demanding strong data governance. They want that AI magic, but they desperately need secure agent-based tools to make it happen safely. You literally cannot afford to have your financial forecasts or customer databases just floating around out there in the public cloud. Section 2. Oracle Private Agent Factory, the secure alternative. All right, so Oracle Private Agent Factory, or OPAF for short. This is where Oracle is making some massive strides. OPAF essentially solves this whole governance headache by providing secure connections to LLMs with zero data exposure. How? Because they use dedicated AI data centers. Your data literally never leaves Oracle's secure boundaries. And that gives data scientists and BI engineers complete peace of mind to build custom agents tailored specifically to their business needs. Section 3. Core Agent Workflow Blocks. The lifecycle of a query. Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. We're going to look under the hood at the exact drag-and-drop workflow blocks you need to build a secure, custom AI agent. It all happens through a clean interface with 5 key blocks. First, you have your chat input, which is just the user entry. Second, the SQL query block for data retrieval. Third, the prompt block. Think of that as setting up the brain. Fourth, the agent block for the actual LLM processing. And finally, number 5, the chat output. Let's actually walk through this lifecycle step by step. It all kicks off at the chat input. Let's say a user types in this exact question. What is the average house price by city? We're going to use this specific Toronto housing data question as our anchor today. So, this is the entry point. The system captures this completely natural language query, and now it needs to figure out exactly how to answer it, using a database it knows it can securely access. Once that question drops, 2 distinct engines have to step up and work together. Over on the left side of our flow, we have the SQL query block. This connects securely to your database, in our case, a Toronto housing data table. It executes a highly controlled read-only query to pull the exact structured data we need. It's safe and it's just grabbing raw numbers. Then on the right side, later in the flow, we have the agent block. This is our reasoning engine. It receives a structured prompt, interprets the original question, and generates a human-readable answer. But here's the kicker. How do we safely connect the raw SQL data on the left to that reasoning agent on the right? Section 4. The intelligence layer, prompt engineering and control. The magic connection between SQL retrieval and the agent happens right here through prompt engineering. This is arguably the most critical part of the whole architecture. It's where the user's natural language question and the hard SQL output actually merge together. Check out this prompt template. See those brackets? It uses dynamic input injection. The query bracket dynamically pulls in the user's question, and the data bracket pulls in the SQL result. by injecting real data directly alongside strict instructions like answer clearly, do not make up data, or if no results, say no data found. You are forcing the AI to only work with the retrieved facts. So the crucial takeaway here is that this prompt block acts like a strict governor for the LLM. It absolutely forces the model to stay grounded in actual retrieved data. This actively prevents AI hallucinations because, well, you've explicitly commanded it not to make things up. Plus, it defines the exact expected behavior. This intelligence layer is the secret sauce that makes the whole system incredibly safe and reliable for sensitive enterprise data. You're basically putting heavy-duty guardrails on the AI before it even starts thinking about an answer. And just to add one final bulletproof layer of safety, the guide highlights this incredibly important setting within the agent block, 0.01. That is the agent's temperature setting. Now, in the AI world, a high temperature means the AI is super creative and spontaneous. Great for writing a poem, right? But absolutely terrible for financial reporting. By setting the temperature down to a near zero, 0.01, you force the LLM to be deterministic. It prioritizes strict accuracy and factual reporting over creativity. It reads your strict prompt, looks at the SQL data, and gives you exactly what you asked for. No fluff. Section 5. Real-world data insights. The Toronto housing market. Okay, we've finally reached the chat output phase. The LLM has processed our grounded prompt, and the AI has transformed that raw, complex SQL return into a beautiful, clear, organized table. It gives us the average price and adds in all the relevant context, like the province, the year, and the month. And the truly amazing part? The user got this real-time accuracy just by asking a question in plain English. They didn't write a single line of code. The custom agent handled that entire translation securely in the background. But wait, it doesn't stop at simple averages. The author pushed the agent even further with this advanced query. Using a 3-month rolling window, what are the sales volume trends for Toronto, and when does the rolling average reach its highest point? This brilliantly illustrates that these custom agents aren't just out here doing basic addition. When you set them up correctly with the right workflow blocks, they handle complex, time-based analytics. They identify trends over moving windows. They basically act like a deeply knowledgeable BI engineer that you have on demand 24/7. Section 6. The future of custom AI, smart investment and scaling. So what does all this mean for tech leaders moving forward? Well, scaling this technology actually requires a fundamental shift in how we think about IT investments. Traditionally, with VM-based pricing, you paid for infrastructure uptime. You were basically paying for servers to just sit there and run, whether you were using them or not. But with custom Gen AI, you move to token-based pricing. Now you pay based on the actual volume of data processed and text created. It is a true consumption model tied directly to the intelligence you generate, and that definitely requires a new way of budgeting and optimizing. And let's be totally clear here. Building custom agents is not some magic button. It requires real-time and real testing. You really have to iterate, tweak your prompts, and fine-tune your workflow blocks to meet strict quality standards. You absolutely must understand what your data's end goal is before you even start building the agent. But once you do put in that work, OwnPath unlocks incredibly fast, secure insights that will give your organization a massive competitive advantage. Which leaves us with this final thought. The guide concludes that the future belongs to those who know their data. But I want to leave you with this question, inspired by that idea. You might know your data, but are you building smart enough to use it securely? The tools to unlock your data's potential safely without ever exposing it to the public cloud are finally here. The only question now is, how quickly are you going to start building? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.